The only thing we can be sure of about the future is that it will be absolutely fantastic. So, if what I say now seems to you to be very reasonable, then I'll have failed completely. Only if what I tell you appears absolutely unbelievable have we any chance of visualizing the future as it really will happen. Let's start by looking at the city of the future. Some people think that it will be like this. And they're quite right. In fact, everything you see now already exists. All the materials, all the ideas, these things could be put into practice immediately. But what about the city of the day after tomorrow? I think it will be completely different. In fact, it may not even exist at all. Oh, I'm not thinking of the atom bomb and the next Stone Age. I'm thinking of the incredible breakthrough which has been made possible by developments in communications, particularly the transistor and, above all, the communications satellite. These things will make possible a world in which we can be in instant contact with each other, wherever we may be, where we can contact our friends anywhere on Earth, even if we don't know their actual physical location. In fact, men will no longer commute. They will communicate. They won't have to travel for business anymore. They'll only travel for pleasure. I only hope that when that day comes, and when the city is abolished, the whole world isn't turned into one giant suburb. In that world of the future, we will not be the only intelligent creatures. One of the coming techniques will be what we might call bioengineering, the development of intelligent and useful servants among the other animals on this planet, particularly the great apes and, in the oceans, the dolphins and whales. You know, it's a scandal of which we should be thoroughly ashamed that prehistoric man tamed all the domestic animals we have today. We haven't added one in the last 5,000 years. It's about time we did so, and with our present knowledge of animal psychology and genetics, we could certainly solve the servant problem with the help of the monkey kingdom. However, the most intelligent inhabitants of that future world won't be men or monkeys. They'll be machines, the remote descendants of today's computers. Now, the present-day electronic brains are complete morons, but this will not be true in another generation. They will start to think, and eventually they will completely outthink their makers. Is this depressing? I don't see why it should be. We superseded the Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal men, and we presume we're an improvement. I think we should regard it as a privilege to be stepping stones to higher things. I suspect that organic or biological evolution has about come to its end, and we are now at the beginning of inorganic or mechanical evolution, which will be thousands of times swifter. But even if the future does belong to the robots, our bodies and our brains still have immense untapped potentialities. For example, to cope with the information explosion, we may develop a machine for recording information directly onto the brain, as today we can record a symphony on tape. So we may one day be able to become instant experts, learning Chinese overnight, for example. Or we may be able to recall completely memories of past events so that we seem to relive them. Alternatively, we may prefer to totally erase past unpleasant memories.
You see, there are, and now we're almost at the end of my remarks, there are easy problems and hard problems. Easy problems, I use the same conceptualization. We're here now, and we want to be up here later, and in this case I'll say that more is better, and this is time. Imagine two actions. For easy problems, the actions which actually solve the problem make it look better also over the short term. Next evaluation, let's say, is the next election, or the next time you have to issue your quarterly earnings report, or the next time you take an exam, whatever. It's the next time somebody's going to evaluate what you're doing. The market and politics deals with these problems quite well. Unfortunately, in achieving sustainability, we're dealing not with easy problems, but hard ones which require sacrifice now in return for benefits later. The problem which can be solved, the actions which solve those problems over the long term make things look worse in the short term. You know, we need to increase the price of energy now in order for it to be lower than it would have been later. We need to reduce certain kinds of economic activity now in order to slow climate change so that we'll have more flexibility for industrial production later. Unfortunately, the next evaluation comes long before we can take credit for the fundamental solutions. And we're stuck in a system now where politics and the market systematically drive us over the cliff. Okay, well, what does that mean? It means that we are coming into a period of uncontrolled decline. We just came through a period, or we're coming toward the end of a period, hopefully, of uncontrolled decline in housing. You know, the Dutch had a period of uncontrolled decline in tulip bulb prices. Bubbles are an inherent feature of our system. It's hubris to imagine that we, although we couldn't manage housing, we can somehow manage our dependence on energy and population and so forth. I mean, it's just a fantasy. Exactly the same arguments which were put forth to justify the irrationalities of the housing market are the ones which are put forward now to say you don't have to worry about population and so forth. And what it means is that we need to maintain our efforts to reduce pollution, to change our energy sources, to reduce our reliance on violence as a way of settling differences. We need to keep that. But in addition, we need now to start focusing specifically on the issue of resilience. If we go through this period of decline without foreknowledge, without preparation, I fear that it will strip away many of our fundamental values, that we will be left afterwards with a system that is very, very unpleasant. If we can build resilience into the system at different levels and then go through this period of decline, knowing that at the end of it, we will have the capacity to engineer the system in a new way, sustainably, then I think we can sustain our commitment to democracy, equity, and so forth. And that's the challenge for us.
In the race against catastrophe of which H.G. Wells warned us, the last lap has already begun. If we lose it, the world of 2001 will be much like ours, with its problems and evils and vices enlarged, perhaps beyond endurance. But if we win, 2001 could mark the great divide between barbarism and civilization. It's inspiring to realize that, with some luck and much hard work, we have a chance of living to see the final end of the Dark Ages. Thank you.